Hey, what's up everyone? Raging Golden Eagle here, having way too much fun as always. And I have to ask the question, have we reached or are we close to reaching peak multiplayer live services? And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's pretty much most of the big games released nowadays. They're online only with some multiplayer aspect rammed in to justify it being online only. And the whole business model of a live service is to keep you hooked on that one specific live service, keep you paying into it, keep you spending time on it, so they can make as much money off of you with as little effort as possible. And while this works real well for a few people in the short term, there's downsides. For every successful multiplayer-only live service game, we've got literally hundreds of dead failures that can't hold an audience. And it's understandable. For example, from personal experience, when I see a new live service mobile game come out that I might vaguely be interested in, I don't think, oh, that looks cool. When I'm done with the current one I'm playing, I'll give this one a shot, like I did back in the day with normal games. That doesn't apply anymore, not with live services. Instead, what I think is, does this look better in any way than Fate Grand Order and Fire Emblem Heroes, those being the two that I'm currently playing? No? Well, I guess I'm just going to give it a pass. The simple fact is, I only have enough time in the day for 2 of these games, and on busy days, even that's too much. And that's not the only thing other companies trying to compete for my time, attention, and money have to deal with. Both Fate Grand Order and Fire Emblem Heroes are based on franchises that I've been a fan of for ages, and I've been playing both of them since the day they launched. Which means, at least in the case of Fate Grand Order, I have every single event item that came out and everything. And that's actually important to a lot of people. Has it ever happened to you that you logged into even an MMO and you saw someone walking around with some cool outfit or equipment or a pet or hell, even characters in some games, and then decide, yeah, it's going to be my goal to get one of those, only to learn that that was from a time-limited event that ended like 2 weeks before you joined the game and is likely never going to come back? Yeah, it kind of sucks, doesn't it? But I don't have that problem anymore. So yeah, all that aside, unlike with normal games of the past, these live services are never done. At least not until the publisher takes down the servers. Previously, even if I got addicted to a single-player game and I 100%ed the whole thing, I was still eventually done and ready to move on to a new game. Nowadays though, as long as new content and updates keep coming out to these live service games, players have no reason to stop playing them as long as they still remain fun. And this is what publishers want, as I kind of said at the beginning. They want to keep you with them, constantly paying them more money, while they honestly don't have to put in that much effort to keep earning it. But again, as I mentioned, there are downsides. Just look at the market. If you're not one of the first big 2 to 3 in your given market, it's almost impossible to break in and you are almost guaranteed to fail. Look at all the Me Too attempts at hero shooters, for example, that just died due to lack of an audience. The big 2 being Lawbreakers and Battleborn. The people who love those games swear up and down that those are great games, but the fact is, nobody's playing them. Pretty much everyone who likes hero shooters already plays the better ones and more popular ones, like for example Overwatch. These Me Too games were pretty much dead on arrival and no amount of free weekends could save them. You know what could have saved them though? Good single player. Not relying on other people being online and playing them to be successful. And the same goes for Battle Royale games actually. Though on that topic, it seems Cliffy B hasn't learned shit from Lawbreakers and has decided to jump on the Me Too bandwagon and early access one at that, again, with Radical Heights. And the reception is about what you would expect. And this is sad really because this is the guy that designed one of my favorite games of all time, that being Unreal Tournament 2004. And now he's just another has-been who's chasing after market fads instead of creating them like he used to. And hell, the examples I just mentioned, those are just the big ones. There are countless smaller failures out there from indies and niche developers and someone trying to be a startup. And this is the risk you take when you have the bright idea to try to break into a multiplayer-only live service market as an unknown. If even the big guys with the big brand names can't do it, if you hope to even stand a chance at breaking even, you better innovate the shit out of whatever you're doing and have some expert level marketing, is what I'm gonna say. I mean seriously, how many times do you come across a relatively new multiplayer only live service game on Steam, and you give it a look and it actually looks pretty interesting, but then you see the comments. And all of them are pretty much along the lines of, man, you're lucky to see even 100 players simultaneously on the weekend, and that's on a good weekend. Something like that makes you think twice about investing your time or money into that game, doesn't it? And with that, the death spiral is complete. Even if the game is good, even if it's better than the big competitors, it is multiplayer only and it can't survive without players. And interested players don't buy in if they see it as dead. And the same goes for mostly single-player live service games, like the two I mentioned earlier, Fate Grand Order and Fire Emblem Heroes. If they don't hook enough whales to justify keeping those servers operational, the servers go down and you can't even play single-player anymore. How awesome is that? The problem is, publishers see the big bucks that the market leaders are making and think that there is a slice for them too. But the fact is that while this attitude could work with single-player games, as eventually people do finish single-player games, and then go about looking for similar ones if they liked it good enough. When it comes to multiplayer live service games, however, that tend to stay alive as long as they have a large player base and the servers stay up, this is not the case anymore. As I already mentioned, when a clone comes out and those playing the market leaders look at it and ask, is this in any way better than the market leader? If the answer is no, they just don't care about it. They skip it over. Why would they play some clone when they have the real deal already? And on top of that, add investment to it. Remember, this is a live service now. It's not just a pay once and you got it game. And this, by the way, is another thing that the publishers really seem to want and consider a good thing until they find themselves on the receiving end of the downsides. When players invest too much time, or especially money in the case of whales, into a live service, they are even less likely to leave it until it dies. Now, this is great when you are one of the market leaders and you have all these whales hooked, and legions of players are spending their time and money on you alone and not bothering with any of the competition, but it really does kind of suck for everybody else, and even the market leaders as well, because when the fads change and you're no longer the market leader and you weren't the first to create a game of the next fad, all of a sudden it becomes a problem for you too. You're trying to play catch up, you're jumping on the Me Too bandwagon creating a clone, and now you find yourself in the same position as everybody you were curb stomping the last go around. But either way, I bring this up because I don't know how long the market can actually sustain this. I would actually bet it won't be long before a whole lot of well-known developers and publishers are closing their doors in large numbers due to trying to chase after these live service fads and failing horribly. This business model only allows for a few big games to make any money at all, while all the rest are dead on arrival. Now, some of you may be getting nitpicky here saying, oh, but this is the same thing for single-player games. Yes and no. A single-player game you can keep on the market for years, and perhaps eventually you will make your money back. After enough Steam sales, that might be the case. With a live service game, you don't have that option. As soon as it doesn't make enough money to even justify keeping the servers online, let alone continuing to add new content, which is what keeps the players playing, it's over. All the time and money you sank into it is pretty much gone. And right now, the larger companies can probably afford a few failures like this due to the built-up wealth and reputation they have from past successes. But that will run out eventually if they go too long without another major hit to refill their coffers, or unless they completely alter their strategy. And when the market correction does eventually happen, it's going to be the small niche publishers that are still going to be there to provide what they always have. That being great single-player games done on a decent budget, and they're going to be doing perfectly fine. And that's all I got to say, guys. Thanks for listening.